Hello, it's me again. Making my face. So, I just did a review on Moana, the 2026 release that just came out, really yesterday or today if you're not paying attention. Also, that came out is Evil Dead Bone, the latest movie of the Evil Dead franchise. I will go into my screen share because I always like to screen share because I can never remember any actor's name, any production head, producer, director, whatever. This movie, as you can see on the IMDb page for the movie, directed by Sebastian Vinnick, I guess. Now, I have a live stream to where I just love watching other reviewers. Notice I put that in quotation marks. I I watch these reviewers and I humbly give my feedback on the review. I basically analyze and review their reviews. Not that they would need it, but I do it for fun. Not for clicks, not for views, not for likes, not for subscribers. But if you'd like to like this video and subscribe, please go ahead, feel free. No force, just if you choose. I don't like to beg people to subscribe because, it's kind of a stupid trope at this point so the movie, like I said, directed by Sebastian Vinnick. Forgive me if I butcher these names. Written by, according to IMDb, Florent Bernard. Sam Raimi, of course, he's back in it, and the director himself, Sebastian Vinnick. This movie, I'll go down here to the cast, stars Sahola Jacob. Once again, I may butcher these names. She plays Alice, who is this French woman that apparently is married to somebody of significance. Married to a guy named, well, married to somebody named, I guess, George Pilar. I'm not really seeing the actor's character. I think that's his actual name, George Pilar. Whoever his character is in this film, and he's pretty notable in this film. He has a big part to play in this movie. I will not spoil it, but I want to tell you, do pay attention to that. He's basically, Alice is his widowed wife. I kind of did spoil it, my bad. But she's a star in this movie. Also, Hunter Duhan, Joseph, who plays Joseph, who apparently is important as well. I won't spoil it. I will have kind of a spoilery review, I guess, later on. Maybe I can make like a spoilery section of this. So I will have a spoiler section of this video, actually, now that I think about it, and I will give a warning ahead, as that's the typical trope, the trend on YouTube. Anyway, Lusania Buchanan is Tina. She is the love interest of Joseph. Old Stan plays Echo Price. Of course, you got Greta Van Den Brink, not Greta Van Dyck, the band. There's a band that I think that's named after, with that name, if I'm mistaken. I Google it real quick. Anyway, not gonna get into that. She plays Jessica. I forgot who she is, actually. You've got Tanati Wright, who is Susan. She is the mother of Joseph and George Poulos' character. Joseph and George Poulos' character, by the way, they're brothers. And I'm saying George Poulos because I don't know. Let me refresh the page. I don't know what the character's name. I can look upon Wikipedia real quick. I know this kind of takes time, but if I look up Evil Dead Bone movie, so I just looked it up. It's William Price is the name of George Poulos' character. I don't know why IMDb didn't have that on their list. Anyway, so you got that. You got some other notable actors. I won't really mention the rest of them, but I guess they have some substance in the movie. Andy Wyatt, as you see, who plays the mother, Susan. She's known for her role in Paul. She plays Paul. That's Pearl. Forgive me, my R's. I have a speech impediment. You can see this is from Paul. She, well, you can see the shots here with Mia Goth, and there was the credit, Paul Ruth. She played Ruth, 2022 Paul. It took me a while to recognize because in this movie, in the first part of it, she has her hair not in a ponytail. It's not tied up. It's loose behind her back, which is, I think, the most attractive way for a woman, especially a white woman, to have her hair. Just saying. But I didn't recognize her, even with her face. I'm like, I've seen this woman somewhere, but I couldn't put a finger on where I've seen her. But sure enough, when she puts her hair in a bun, I recognize her immediately. She's Paul's mother from the 2022 Paul. I love that movie. I don't know why Eric Weber of Midnight Movie Talk doesn't like that movie, but I like that movie, and I remember the mother because she's trying to basically teach her daughter that you got to not think about yourself all the time because she's stuck with a husband that is comatose or something like that. Not comatose, but brain dead, basically. And yeah, it took me a while. It took me a while to recognize her. So I just want to say that, you know, she's a brilliant actress. Loved her performance. Um, yeah, my kind of woman, I guess, but too old. But anyway, so yeah, she plays the mother Susan in this movie. And what I want to say about this movie is it is scary. It has the jump scares. It does good, does well. Sam Raimi still has it. It's not as funny as the classic Evil Dead. I've seen this earlier this year. I think it was last year actually. I saw Evil Dead 1. They brought that back to theaters. The one with the actor that plays Ash. I forgot his name. God, I feel bad. He was in the three Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. I know you know who I'm talking about, but I forget. Just let me Google his Bruce Campbell. He plays Ashley J. Williams. Yeah, I want to live stream. Live stream. I'm sorry, not a live stream. You can see that's his name, Ashley J. Williams, played by Bruce Campbell. Um, he has a little small cameo in this movie, by the way. Non-spoiler alert, kind of spoiler alert though. Anyway, not in the spoiler section yet. This movie's scary. It's very I think it's like just at 2 hours, give or take. The film is, if I look at the what it says in the movie, the one time is about an hour and 50 minutes. So what happens in the movie? Well, I can't really say much without spoil. People become possessed, as you can expect, and this is not your typical possession. This is basically the person is killed by the evil that is unleashed via reading from the Necronomicon. And the Necronomicon itself is not really in this film. It is mentioned as the Book of the Dead, as it's always mentioned in like every Evil Dead property. They even try to copy it in what the movie that came out, I think, earlier this year called Mummy by Les Grossman or whatever his name is. Not Les Grossman. I'm thinking of Tropic Thunder. The movie that came out, if I look that up real quick, The Mummy, it was, and I say that because this was kind of like an Evil Dead property. It's from the makers of Evil Dead Rise. Lee Cronin's The Mummy that came out this year. That was a mention of a Book of the Dead. But and about Lee Cronin's Mummy, I want to say that real quick. I didn't like this movie because it was too Evil Dead-esque. It's a movie about a mummy. What are we doing making it like basically making her possessed by a demon and making her being able to possess other people of her family? You know, it was too Evil Dead like, and I can easily see the people, the make creators, selling these two movies as one package, as a dual package. Lee Cronin's The Mummy along with Evil Dead, Boning, and also as a trio actually with Evil Dead Rise. Evil Dead Rise, I did like. I love the woman who played the mother. Yeah, I know some people are going to compare this movie with, you know, Evil Dead Bone with Evil Dead Rise because it's basically a continuation of that. But if I really want to like, and I'm going to talk about this later in the spoilery section, Evil Dead Rise, this is kind of like a continuation, a sequel. And so I'm looking it up because I want to look up the actress names. I should have had this prepared already. The actress that plays the mother, and like I'm kind of smiley spoiler here. She's in the movie. This image is still creepy as hell. It is still creepy. Look, I don't know what it is. It's just a smile, bro. Look at that for a second. Let me put this in full screen. Can I put it in full screen? Do I know how? Is the not Control F? I'm sorry. How do I full screen something? There we go. Just look at that. Go away. Anyway, just look at this real quick. The eyes and the smile, it's just really creepy. It's got me looking behind myself. Anyway, so yeah, the actress in that movie, Evil Dead Rise, that came out 2023, just 3 years ago. Looked so creepy. This actress right here in this image, her name is, if I can find her real quick without really, Alyssa Sutherland. She plays Ellie. That was a good performance. So if you remember that movie, you would definitely also remember this movie because, like I said, it's a sequel. It's the same old stick. People get possessed by the evil, like an infection. And the reason why I want to say that is because, and I'm comparing it with Evil Dead Rise here, is because Evil Dead Rise was the first time that I see what this evil really is. This is like people getting infected. There's an infection going on, but it's not your typical viral or bacterial outbreak. It's not something that's really completely like Resident Evil, but I think having seen so many zombie movies that are all caused by infection of a sort, whether it be a virus or a bacteria. Earlier this year, I think it was some movie called Cold Storage with Liam Neeson in it, and the guy from Free Guy, the movie with Ryan Reynolds. That was actually caused by, like, I think some bacterial, I think it was like a fungi or a fungus, which was a unique spin on, spreading a virus and turning people into zombies. Anyway, I digress. My point is, the evil spreads an infection so much that they actually copied that same trope over to Lee Cronin's the Mummy. They were basically infected. Possession equals infection. So basically, the evil possesses the potion, but they cure the potion, infect them. Then that's how the infection equals the possession. When I say that, once you're infected, you are already possessed, but you might not see the possession actually be expressed until later, because yeah, and you'll get what I'm saying about the infection, and the reason why I keep pointing this movie is because Evil Dead Rise was the first time I see that the evil is like an infection. It is an infection, and so there's this whole viral outbreak thing. And there's something about a lake, as we saw kind of at the beginning of Evil Dead Rise. There's a lake. I'm pretty sure that whatever demon this was basically is also in the beginning. You'll hear reviewers talk about that. I like in my live stream, like I said, I like to watch other reviewers and critique them. Anyway, like I said, so that's pretty much the stick of this movie. I can't really say anything without spoiling it at this point, so I'm about to spoil it as worst or best as I can. I might not include everything, but anyway, if you haven't seen it, be sure to pause the video, click away, stop the video, and go check it out first, and then come back. So I'll give you some time to do that. Okay, so if you've seen the movie, here's my spoilery section. I don't have title cards. I kind of like to just shoot the shit raw and give it to you, post it. I probably won't get a lot of reviews, but anyway. So let's turn this fan off. The movie. If I go into like the characters, I might kind of need the screen share a little bit. This is kind of boring. I try to remember it. I just try not to cheat, but I kind of might need Wikipedia to explain it. Well, I'm gonna try to go as much as I can without Wikipedia. So basically, what happens is we have this. The evil gets out of a lake, giving me kind of a Camp Crystal Lake from Friday the 13th, as in Jason vibes, right? Also brings me back to 2023's Evil Dead Rises beginning of when that girl was possessed by the evil and she comes out of the lake. You know how she rises and well, I don't know if that's the same exact demon, whatever, a person, but a guy dies in a boat. You see two people in a boat, they're fishing. They're cracking jokes. One guy's telling the other guy to, I don't know, we're fishing, hang up the phone, stop talking to us, very rude. Black guy, wouldn't you know it, he's killed first. The guy that sees him die, he starts running, and let me go ahead and screen share again. I want to show you the reason why I was trying to remember these actors. So this guy, Keanu Coim, plays Jared. That's the guy who Jared. He witnesses his friend Mike, played by Tapawa Sawapa. I apologize if I mispronounced their names. Yeah, Mike dies first, and then Jared. So the evil gets out of the lake. I need to watch this movie again. He gets out of the lake, but it spreads from there. George Poole's character, I think is William Price. He eventually gets infected because he has an argument with his wife. His wife is, of course, Alice. Alice, played by this woman, lead actress, Sohelia Yacob. Yeah, Alice, she is married to William, and they keep fighting, they keep arguing. Apparently, they own a business, right? They own a business, and this business is quite successful, but Alice is not happy with her marriage at all. She doesn't really like her husband, you know. She's a devoted wife, but she smokes cigarettes outside, and William scolds her for that. He says, "Of course you're smoking again." Apparently, she's pregnant with the baby. She's pregnant, but later on, that baby, I think, is aborted or something. And I guess William, he wanted to be a father, but he scolds her for that decision. Anyway, after the argument, William storms off, intoxicated. His brother Joseph offers him to drive him home because he's drunk, but William's like, I could just drive myself. And so William is driving, and he almost hits the demon woman, the demon that killed those two boys, young men earlier, Mike and Jared. He almost hits her, but his car crashes. Later on, she does the whole demon trick, appears in front of him, causes his car to light ablaze, but of course, touches him, and he's basically William is burned to death, burned to a crisp, if you will. And because of that, he's also infected. And this is the first time in this movie that you see the infection. Also, it's the first time you see the whole subtitle "Evil Dead Bone." I know there's not a colon, but still, the subtitle. Come on. Not sure which Evil Dead this is. I think it's Evil Dead. Let's see, 5 or 6. Anyway, because you had that remake in 2012, 2013 that came out that people didn't like much. It's a remake of the very first Evil Dead that people didn't like, so they had to kind of come up with that Ash vs. Evil Dead that had 2 seasons. I finished the first season, didn't really catch one the second one. I need to rewatch that. Anyway, so yeah, so eventually William dies, and so Joseph loses a brother. They have a funeral. The mother Susan is crying. Alice is now widowed. And of course, Tina is, I'm not sure if she's the wife or girlfriend or fiance of Joseph, who's William's younger brother, but the movie didn't really go in to say that. Anyway, and I mentioned Tina, of course, because she's gonna become important later. So basically, what happens is, yeah, there's a funeral. Edgar Price, who played by Awal Shad, I know in this one you see he has hair, but he's bald in the movie. He of course misses his son, and he asks the cremo attendant, the whoever was in charge of the cremation. He asks him for a moment with his son. The dude says 5 minutes, but please don't tell anybody because I could get yelled at. And it's a typical, I guess, black guy trope when he's listening to music and tend to be a rapper and all this shit. And some people might have complaints. Oh, this guy's your typical black guy rapping, and he's gonna die first. Well, at least he went out with kind of a bang. He was having fun, because if you have a job that's depressing, like cremation, working in a what do they call them? Not a morgue per se, but similar, with bodies, and you have to light them ablaze. You're gonna look for ways to like cope with the stress or whatever. You're gonna put your earbuds in my case, AirPods. Speaking of which, you're gonna look for music, or whatever. You can't exactly watch a video like this one that you're watching right now, but you can, listen to it at least. And because of that, so He's having fun. Of course, he dies later, but the point is, Edgar Price, the father of William that has now dead, he comes out of the tomb. Wouldn't you know it? He plays the demon plays a mind trick on him. Like they always do. Using the memories of the victim being the infected body, if you will, the possessed body. And he convinces his father to open the casket. Then he bones his neck, so he's infected him just by touching him. So they infect by either cutting and making to where the blood of the infected, the possessed person, the evil can get in because the evil is transmitted via blood, like any infection. Um, and yeah, but he just touches his father. I think he touches his neck. He makes a bone mark, or maybe he does his arm. Somebody gets touched like this by the neck and they have like a bone mark. It might be Tina. I don't know. Anyway, so he gets infected, but it takes a while for you to actually see him be possessed. It takes a while. All the time, he's losing his mind. He's at the dinner table arguing with his other son Joseph, his only living son Joseph, and his um estranged wife, Tina. And I say estranged because Joseph and William's family, they do not like really like, well, they don't hate Tina, but they don't like Alice for some. So Joseph's wife is well liked, but not Alice. You know, in the beginning of this movie, you see Tina and Alice talking about, Will before he stormed off in his car and encountered the demon woman and how he got infected in the first place. But um, I really appreciate how this movie's set up. By the way, note that it takes its time to establish characters and their relationships. Anyway, so Susan and Edgar Price, they're having an open casket funeral, blah blah blah. Well, you can't really do much with the funeral because his body's burnt to a crisp. But then you have that whole infection where Edgar gets infected during the cremation. Of course, the cremator agent, the cremation attendant, the one that puts the body into the fire to actually cremate. Um, he dies. Well, you know it, of course. Colored people always die. Always in movies. Black people. Just saying. Not always, but in scary movies it's common. So anyway, moving on, we have the organ at the table. Edgar is starting to show a few signs of like he's losing his mind. He's trying to cope. There's a moment when he grabs a certain thing. Got what it was. Tina spots him. I think it's Tina. It's either Tina or Alice. She asks Edgar for it. Can I just hold on to this, just to keep him from harming himself, self harm. And I'm probably not gonna remember everything, but yeah, that's pretty much what you see. Alice's father, of course, you see the voice played by Alan Chabat. I don't remember that much. And I'm using this IMDb to kind of help me remember, to jog my memory. So oh yeah, Polly, played by Marty Devine. She's an older woman, so I don't. She's like the grandma of of Joseph and William. She's this is like an older. This is the actress's older image. You can see that she had some prior work. But she's the grandma Polly, and she's significant now, and I'll get to this in a little bit. As I try to find, you know, yeah, she's the mother of Susan, really, and I say that because Susan is, of course, married to Edgar Price, and it's through Susan's bloodline that you got the guy that kind of started it all. This the guy that's in the recording tapes, the man that Ash, what's his name again? Ash and Evil Dead. He he hears his voice in the recording, right? Ash Williams. They turn on that tape and they hear the recording, the audio. That guy in the audio, whatever his name was, he apparently is the father of Susan, played by Tandy White, and therefore he's the grandfather of Joseph and William Price. Now that becomes important, so important fact, they should make a prequel Evil Dead with that guy that's going to record his voice and talk all about the evil and the Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon, and how he is so serious and warns people, and he travels the whole world looking for artifacts to feed off the evil. Apparently, there is a weapon that is so important to the evil that they want it and they want to destroy it because it could destroy them. It's the only thing that can really destroy them. And I want to go ahead and go into that later. But anyway, so Polly she's got like Alzheimer's or dementia, one of them or both. She's forgetting people's names, confusing family members, that kind of thing. You know how you have that older woman in the wheelchair. She's missing a part of her left leg, so she has a stump, and she has to be helped into the chair that lifts her up the staircase. You got that assisted that lifts you up the staircase. It's like you press a button and it's electric. That actually becomes important later. I hope I have time and enough space in my hard drive in order to tell that part or to get that part. Anyway, so we have the established for characters. Eggert, he's going out of his mind. Eventually, he shows that he possessed. There's a big ass fight. During these fight scenes, I call them fight scenes, there is spinning of the camera, and the camera doesn't always linger on the fight. It kind of goes to the side and pays attention to Alice because, and I'm looking behind myself. Yeah, gotta stop doing that. It's exactly what you saw in the trailer. It's why some people said wow because they'd never seen this in an Evil Dead film. Got the camera moving from the fight to what Alice is doing. She's trying to crawl away to get away from Eggert as she realizes she doesn't know he's possessed, but she just knows he's gone crazy, and so she's trying to get away, hiding in a closet, very Onagor-esque, with Halloween with Laurie Strode in the closet. But eventually they get Eggert outside. They lock the door. Oh yeah, Eggert at the dinner table. He actually killed the dog. And they bury the dog. And then there's a moment when Alice actually she reads from some of the pages left over by the grandfather of Joseph, the guy in the recording, as he, for some reason, I don't know why, he actually recorded pages, the speeches that you say from the Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon, the very thing that they read in the first one, they read aloud in the first one, and that's what summons the evil. She reads that, but she doesn't read and apparently she's reading aloud. She's saying out loud the names of the demons that possess them, but she doesn't say the very last one. She's like, fuck this. But, of course you see the demons coming because you see the whole going through the bushes and the soaring with the wind, that, you've seen that in all of them at this point. That's Evil Dead whenever you see that. So, and you know that the demons are going to come and they're about to cause some hell. They're about to possess somebody, right? That is actually how. Yeah. So, and I want to remind my audience how Eggert got possessed because of his son William, who got possessed because of the woman that he almost hit. And I don't remember how she got possessed. I think she's from Evil Dead Rise, the woman in the lake. She somehow remained. So the evil always remained. And I say that because Polly, who is eventually possessed, she's possessed because Tina gets possessed by. Oh, okay. So the first time you see Ego get possessed is when he cuts himself after killing the dog, and so Joseph's taking him to the hospital. But then he starts to kill both Joseph and Tina. Tina ends up saving Joseph. But Edgar stabs her with like a part of the chair, and of course the car has gone off the road. And Joseph, kind of like a coward, and I think he runs away, realizing he can't do anything, and leaving Tina to die. And Tina is later infected, and possessed, and she comes back possessed, and that's when you have that trailer part when she's taking the candle, putting it in her mouth, the candle wax. And then you have a whole thing with Tina, and then I just like how they jammed so many characters getting possessed. Every character in this movie except for Alice was possessed, and even Joseph at the end. Anyway, I'm gonna see this movie again. Anyway, it's yeah, they have to stop her. Tina ends up, spreading the possession to Polly by basically leaking her blood in her mouth, taking her teeth out, leaking the blood in her mouth, and putting her teeth back in. And then Polly is possessed. She, of course, Susan She has to take care of her mother. Polly doesn't remember her daughter Susan, but she says her name in a way that Susan remembers, and Susan's like, I missed you. And then Polly's pulling a prank on her daughter. And because of this prank, Susan is tricked. She is possessed, but she's possessed in a way that's not full possession. She still kind of has her mind, because I think what the demon through Polly did was and this demon is he's spreading from, you know, uh body to body, because eventually Tina's body is destroyed by Joseph. He has to kill his own wife. Got use something like a chair or something. Smashed her head in a way. Cut it by the mouth or whatever. You'll see it later. Anyway, so Polly, she gets her daughter Susan possessed, but Susan's possessed in a way that's like she still has her mind. When she makes a deal with the demon, she says, "As long as you don't hurt my son Joseph, I will help you find the dagger." I forgot what the dagger is called. It's a special dagger that's made by the Order of something. Uh, it was found by the original guy with the recordings, and I don't want to use Wikipedia, but I will happily find it. Control F dagger just to kind of get myself out here. Uh, Kandarian dagger, which apparently has been used again, I guess. Anyway, so yeah, they're called Deadites. I forgot that when I mentioned that. I forgot that. So they want the dagger. They convince her that if you help us get the dagger, we will not harm your son. But of course, her husband, been possessed, does harm her son, and she said, "You promised you wouldn't hold him." And so you see from that point, Susan is not completely possessed. Of course, they see her as somewhat redeemable or savable. So Joseph and Alice, they work on saving Susan, taking her with her. But eventually, Joseph is left to fight Ego. And Joseph is left to fight Ego. He does eventually die, and of course Joseph is later on possessed, as in the attic that you see, and Alice later on finds the dagger in none other than the attic. But Susan does become fully possessed. She tries to kill Alice, of course, and there's only 3 people left at this point. That are possessed, because Joseph is the first deadite that Alice stabs with the dagger. First, she stabs him with everything else that's not a dagger. Then she just so happens to land her hand on the white dagger. So after she kills that deadite Joseph, she's chased after on the roof by deadite Susan, deadite Ego, and I think eventually deadite Polly. She does kill Deadite Susan and Ego. I forgot exactly how. Like I said, I need to see it again. But then Deadite William shows up, her husband, in his burnt flesh. He says all about how you cannot live without me. I cannot live without you. Without me, you're nothing. All this. Apparently, like I said, during their marriage, they owned and operated a business that, according to Susan, had been very successful. They asked at the dinner table what Alice planned to do with that, and she said she didn't really know. She kind of wants to take a break. She wants to go back to France, where she's from, and live with her dad. But of course, Edgar at that point was when his mom was going crazy because of the evil. He was basically saying, "Oh, always run away. Just run away, and instead of facing facing the problems that you caused us." Yeah, so apparently Susan and Edgar had both harbored this hatred for Alice, saying that you have tainted this family, you destroyed our family. And of course, Alice said to Susan, "Oh, shut the fuck up about that. I didn't do it. This what is going on is already there. You were already broken before I came into the picture, before William even met me. It's already been there." Anyway, moving back to the present. So eventually, Deadite William, chases her to this place. She's got the dagger, but he trips her and she falls into this little thing that's about to crush her. But of course, he comes in and he's asking for the dagger. and she throws her knife in her pocket as a distraction to make him think it's the dagger. While she gets up and kills him with the real dagger, she eventually does kill him. I think um, yeah, she eventually does kill him with the dagger. I think. She somehow loses the dagger, but at this point, she's found by um rescue people, paramedics. There you go. You hear the sirens come in. Of course, the woman, she asks her what happened, and Alice asks for a cigarette, and then the woman says, "Well, technically, we're not supposed to." And she says, "Please, just give it to me." And so Alice gets a cigarette, reinforcing the idea that she is, of course, a smoker, which is what William used to scold her for. So we eventually do see her. We see the evil Polly. She still remains Deadite Polly, and there was this woman that steps in this car. She's concerned about this old woman that apparently she has two legs. She lost two legs. First of all, she in all the movie she didn't have a left leg. She had a stump. But there was a point in the movie earlier on when Alice and Joseph trapped the Deadite Polly in that lift thing that helps her go up the staircase because obviously she doesn't have a leg and she can't walk that way up there. So it's they're fighting her upstairs, so they make her go downstairs just to escape. You know, and then the Deadite Polly starts to get the knife and cut through her leg because the Deadite they don't I don't know, I think they do feel pain, but of course the person is gone at this point. They do feel pain though, because if you see Ash as he shoots them with his double barrel shotgun, of course they feel pain. There's always that memorable moment from Army of Darkness at the end when he slides on that shopping cart and as he's continuously shooting the Deadeye, he blows on it and says "Hail to the King, baby." I always remember that. I gotta rewatch that again. Anyway, so Ollie has tricked this young woman, Gen Z, looks like, into helping her, and she says, "They took my legs, but yours will do just fine," letting us know that the demon is going to transfer and infect and transfer into her. So there's going to be another movie, and if you didn't think that was enough, there is an after credit scene with the mother from the Evil Dead Rise. And now I'm going to go into the IMDb page for Evil Dead Rise. You see the character, this very demon that caused all that havoc in Evil Dead Rise back in 2023, played by actress Alyssa Sutherland. Allie. You see the mother Allie appear in front of a young Cassie, I guess, that was previously played by Neil Fisher. Now, it's kind of messed up because I didn't think that they would really go forward with this because the mother from that movie, she combined with all of her kids that she caused to become Deadites. That is Bridget and Danny and even characters like I guess Bruce and whatever Caleb, that play that. Oh, I'm sorry, Scott and Gabriel. They are combined with though to be like this grotesque monster. At the end that the character I forget how Beth, who is the sister of Ellie, Beth played by Lily Sullivan here. She had to kill that deadite with a chainsaw so she can escape with her niece, Cassie, played by Neil Fisher. You see Cassie again, right? And so I'm thinking to myself, is this the same Cassie from that movie? Because the so-called mother, trying to get her actual name, Ellie, she appears in the mirror and she says, "Sweetheart," and then of course the girl, whoever the girl is, she says, "Mom," right before she appears behind her and, sorry for the spoiler, breaks her neck, kills her. Apparently she's not in the credit list. She's not in the credits. Just I'm not seeing it. Maybe she's on the Wikipedia if I look into the plot at the end of it. The daughter of the crematorium's manager finds Ellie Bixler's unclaimed ashes before Deadeye Ellie appears and kills her. Now, Ellie Bixler finds her ashes. So, how is it that she was in ashes the Deadite still exists. I don't know. I don't know how that power is. But yeah, you see Polly scratches the motorist's leg, passing on the Deadite possession. So yeah, it's gonna continue with that post-credit scene. And I apologize if using my screen share kind of bothers you. I do it because it's to help jog my memory. I need to see this movie. I did. I did promise my audience. I did promise you, faithful viewers, a review, a non-spoiler section, a review with a non-spoiler section and a spoiler section. So there it is. I really did like this movie. I look forward to seeing how it's going to continue. I will see this movie again, hopefully this weekend. And thank you so much for enjoying me. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Tell me, did you enjoy this movie? Is it worth the watch? Are you tired of the franchise at this point, like everything else? Or do you miss Ash, aka Bruce Campbell? Do you miss the mother Ellie and Alice? I think her name is Alice. I'm terrible with names. I'm terrible with names, but the woman um Alyssa Sutherland. Do you miss her? I thought she was really great in that last one. Super Dead Fight. So anyway, yeah, like and subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.